back to another Big Bad Review with Cam of the Big Bad Beetle Bros and Stronger Than Before, a Power Rangers Zeo rewatch podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today I've got kind of the last of my reviews for a while, probably, until I start doing my maybe some older stuff. But as far as new toys and collectibles go, I've really kind of burnt through my quote-unquote backlog because I really don't have... I don't buy a lot of stuff. I've been gifted a handful of things recently. I've won a handful of things in some contests. But beyond that, I really have not been, like, procuring collectibles. I've really been attempting to not do that, actually. So, this may be the last review-type video for a little while. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to knock out a whole bunch at once. So, without further ado, today we're going to be talking about Studio Series 86, Transformers the movie, Perceptor. One of my favorite Transformer characters, from the G1 to the IDW comics into, of course, the movie, and then a handful of recent series like Cyberverse. I really appreciated his kind of combination of G1 and classic G1 and IDW appearances into the Cyberverse version. So, I've already taken this guy out of the box, actually. So here he is. But I want to talk about the box a little bit first, just like I have with everything else. So, box art, very pretty, very cool. New art featuring Perceptor on here. Big smiling face. Not something you'd see on Perceptor all that often, but really nice box art on here. Studio Series 86. This is Studio Series 86 11, so this is the 11th figure. Really, really neat display on the back. Of course, he turns into his microscope form. Of course, they have to say, 20 steps. It's big screen, inspired, scale, detail, backdrop. Again, like I said with the Zeo Red and the Cog figures and even Finster for Hasbro's Lightning Collection for Power Rangers, they really don't include a lot of information on the back of here. They do have a little bit of a descriptor here at the bottom that just talks about his appearance in the movie. It says, after observing a fleet of incoming enemies, Perceptor reports that a cursory evaluation of a Decepticon capability indicates a distinct tactical deficiency, or in other words, they're outnumbered. Basically just quoting one of his more famous lines from the 1986 movie, which is the whole point of this line of figures. Just say Battle of Autobot City here up at the top, because this is where he's inspired from. And they do come, each of the Studio Series 86 figures came with a backdrop inside of the box that you can unfold and display them with. I will not be doing that because it takes up a lot of room, and it means that I have to keep a box laying around, and I will not be doing this. This goes with all the other boxes in the closet. So again, neat box art. That classic movie logo up at the top. Very fun. Really, really enjoying the Studio Series box art. I've not picked up any of the other figures. I would love to pick up the Dinobots, but they are crazy expensive. $100 off the shelf, let alone aftermarket. If they do... well, they're doing Snarl. I may have to get Snarl. I don't know. If they do Swoop, Swoop might be the one that I actually bite the bullet on. But as you can see over here in the corner, I have my custom Snarl that I've worked on that maybe I'll do a review of that sometime. But without further ado, let's jump into Studio Series 86 Perceptor here. I like this guy. Oh, I like him. There's really not any complaints. There's really not. There's a couple little things that could probably be fixed with either a Toy Hacks sticker set or an aftermarket upgrade kit, either from Etsy or from a myriad of different websites of 3D printed and molded upgrade kits. But really enjoy this. This is yet again another figure that was gifted to me by the wonderful John over at Don't Ever Stop Gaming, Don't Ever Stop Collecting, DES over on YouTube. I'll include a link to his channel in the description. But you can see here, flip up his little, we're going to move the camera up, is what we're going to do. I'd flip up his little cannon here, slash microscope lens. Very, very sleek looking figure. Very simple. Not a lot going on, which honestly I prefer. I think some of the designs get really busy. I think some of the designs of the Studio Series figures have really streamlined the designs of these characters in a way that, I don't know, things like Generations and stuff complicated a lot of designs in ways that I think was unnecessary. And that's just me. I like simple, sleek, clean transformations that make sense. And when you look at a figure, you can kind of tell how, if you see the robot mode and the alternate mode, you can tell how you get from one to the other. When you can't tell, I think it's a little bit bad design. I think it's a problem. Here's his little blaster he comes with. This is the blaster that he had in the movie, and in I think a few shots in the show. It is mostly based off the blaster that his G1 toy came with, I think. There are some really fun upgrade kits to make this guy look more like the IDW or even the Cyberverse version of the character. I may be getting one of those. I'm not 100% sure yet. I know Toy Hacks, their sticker set comes with things. For instance, the eye patch and the modified chest piece. It also comes with a handful of different stickers for the chest piece, or maybe they're not stickers, maybe they're just inlays. But because this is just a clear piece of plastic. Apologize. It leans into a lot of potential for customization there. Anyway, let's go ahead and do. We're going to start with just Poseability in robot mode because he's got a lot. For a character like Perceptor, who's not necessarily an action-packed character outside of the IDW comics, later on IDW second version, stuff like that. But a lot of Poseability in this guy. So you did see earlier that the Canon / microscope lens up here has a really nice ratchet here at the top part of it. And then you can bend the whole thing back and hide it. That's actually how it comes out of the package. Head can rotate 360. It's on a very tight ball joint. Really, 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 really solid. I love this head sculpt. Really, the bright blue eyes, nice silver on the faceplate. I'm glad they didn't give him the big goofy grin that he's got in the in the box art, but I dig it nonetheless. Mine does have a few spots of like smudged paint on the black gray of the head. Totally fine. I'm not opposed to it. Reminds me a little bit of the War for Cybertron line, constantly having battle damage on their figures. Was not something that I appreciate. If I want to, battle damage a figure, I'll kind of do that on my own. But I get why. It's because of Netflix and gritty and bullets and all sorts of stuff. As far as the arms go, a lot of ball joints on the shoulders, so you get full 360 spin up to a 90, down all the way to the side. Like I said, 360 on the spin there, a 360 spin on a mushroom joint on the mushroom peg here on the the mid bicep. Basically a 90 on the elbow, which is also part of the transformation to a degree. The hands do not move unless you count the transformation joint here, where they can move inward, I guess, a little bit, so you could get like an inward wrist action. Same for the other side, obviously. His waist does swivel 360 degrees. Again, mostly part of the transformation, although that is kind of a negligible aspect of the transformation, if I'm going to be honest with you. Legs are very poseable, partially thanks to the transformation, partially just because he doesn't have a lot going on as in terms of like kibble and stuff that would hinder his transformation. So I really dig that. Full 90 to the front, full 90 to the back, full splits. Already more poseable than most Lightning Collection Power Ranger figures. Full 360 at the hip. Again, another mushroom peg. It does have this weird mid-hip joint that I wish kind of clicked into place better. This is part of the transformation, but it kind of gives, you can give like a little wonky, like, I don't know what that was, but that's a thing that he can do, but it does make posing a little bit tricky sometimes. Not too bad. I've not run into any issues, and it's not loose. It is a tight enough joint that just like it's not going to come undone. But when you're trying to pose him, sometimes it'll be a little bit of a pain to like try to be posing and then all of a sudden the leg will kind of pop out like that, or pop inward because it does move both directions. Knee, a little over 90 degrees on the knee, very nice, love that. Toe, technically, because of the transformation, moves down. I don't know if I would count that, but they do have the feet, ankle goes 90 degrees all the way to the side, so you can get those wide stances. Very dramatic positioning of the feet, which is, again, very nice, especially when you're trying to do maybe movie scenes or trying to get more IDW sniper action going. Obviously, this normally would be up, and you kind of have it tilt down, have him tilt down, and kind of be looking at something. It doesn't telescope at all. It doesn't stick out. It does kind of look like it would because there's like a threaded section here, and this lens does have a little beveled piece of clear plastic there in the lens, and you can't really look all the way through the lens. There is plastic in between here stopping you from looking through. Unlike the, I think the original Microchange and G1 toy wasn't necessarily a functional microscope, but you could look all the way through it, I think. I'm still planning on getting an original, or well, probably a reissue of G1 Perceptor, just because I have my G1 Blaster, my G1 Soundwave. I like the Microchange figures, and Perceptor's not incredibly hard to find in some of the reissues. So, anyway. Might as well go ahead and transform this guy, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Now, pardon if I gum up some of the transformation, or if I don't do it in order. I don't have the instructions in front of me, so I'm going to just do it the way that I have been doing it since the figure arrived. Around the back of the figure, you're going to see a few spots where, for instance, third-party kits, upgrade kits would include, for instance, some people have made a section that pegs into here that creates a little flap that hides this gap because the whole chest is hollow. Really, the only spots on this figure where there are hollow bits are the inside of the forearms where the hands go in, and the back of the torso where the head goes in. Now, what I do is I turn the head all the way around, fold this down and in, clamp that in. You're going to reveal this basically other end of the mushroom peg down here. And then you can go ahead and click the shoulders of the arms down. These little blue clips will come down, and you're going to, I tend to kind of move this out of the way a little, but these pegs here on the shoulders lift up, and you're going to want to bend telescoping arm, the microscope arm out, and then over, and these will kind of clamp right in, and there we have the microscope arm. We're finished there. Then you're going to rotate the arms 180 all the way over, clamp the hands down, and pivot the whole thing in. And there are little pegs in here. There's a peg right here that the arm will peg into, the inside of the arm will peg into. So you're going to go ahead and do the same on the other side. And then, yeah, you can see right there, there's a little peg, clamps right in. It's just a snug little fit. It's not a really satisfying click, but it's snug enough that it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And that's the upper part of the transformation. Now, what I do, pivot the whole legs around. So you're going to kind of rotate. Right now we're all backwards. Stick the leg out. Rotate, whoop, that way, so you've got the exterior of the leg facing you. Then pivot it in and down. And we're going to do the same over here. In, out, down. And we're going to go just like that. Oh, and what I did miss is this does need to go flat. So you're going to have the inner thigh facing you. So I'm going to lower I'm going to lower you down so we can get a better look here. So, really, really simple. And then you just flip this screen down, just flip this little bit down. It's on a nice little, almost a soft ratchet. Just going to clamp down like that. And I do think I actually did this backwards, where for this mode, you're not supposed to rotate the hip. You're supposed to have it like this so that the tank treads are on the inside of the legs rather than the outside. There. So I didn't need to rotate the waist. But there's that. And voila. Suddenly microscope. I really dig this. I usually have him on display in this mode, sitting around my 3D printer and stuff. It's just a fun little microscope. Definitely, you know, this is the kind of movie scene microscope. It looks more like his transformation and stuff from the movies than it does from the G1 show, and than it does from the G1 toy. I really enjoy this transformation. It's incredibly fun. There's not a ton to it. It doesn't get overly complicated. The most complicated part is just that little bit from the legs here that you can kind of get backwards or sideways or turned around. And honestly, it doesn't really make a huge difference to the transformation. All it means is that you've got these 5mm pegs exposed on the outside of the legs rather than the tank treads, which are on the inside of the legs, because he does have an alternative mode, which is basically just pivoting all of this around, pivoting all of that around, and then there's a little peg here under the microscope dials, and there's a little hole here in the legs, and you'll just clamp those in. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but they will fit. You kind of have to squeeze the arm in a little bit, just because of the way that the arms clamp in and the way that the legs attach over. Mine doesn't really want to do that, and I'm not sure if that's a matter of like moving. Maybe if I move these joints out a little bit and give it more, yeah. So for mine at least, I'm having to, you can see, rotate the hip a little bit around just so that I can get enough movement, and then you kind of straighten everything out later. But even then, kind of see the hips just aren't going to lay straight, and that's okay for what this mode is. This is, as I said, a super bonus mode. And yeah, you've got a little Perceptor tank here. This was a bonus mode on the original toy as well. It made more sense when it was microchange because you could have a little figure mounted here. It's certainly neat, but there's no wheels. So you can't actually, there's no play value, you know, you can't move it around. The treads are not painted separately, so they really don't stand out as an optional mode. It's not quite enough to make Perceptor a triple changer. I don't think he ever used this mode in the show. He might have used this mode once in the movie to justify it, but even then, I can't remember him using it in the movie, which means not very much, because Perceptor wasn't in the movie a ton. He wasn't in the show a ton either, but I don't remember the tank mode, and it's not something that would make me, you know, more or less attached to a figure, whether or not it had the extra tank mode. I think most versions of Perceptor have included it in some way or another, but it's really not something that people kind of, I think, associate with the character. So, again, nice ratchet here. None of the dials turn, but that is to be expected on a figure like this. It'd be nice if they were just on a little swivel peg, but I understand that's just one more moving part. I do like that they've managed to paint the bottom of the hand sections the same blue as the arms, so they do blend in better. Yeah, and you can see how this would be, you know, maybe sitting in a little biology lab. where you're just gonna, you know, tilt it around and zoom in and zoom out. It's a fun little figure. Like I said, I really appreciate the micro change line of Transformers that were inspired by everyday items that would have been around a house or around a toy box even, or something like that, like the penny racers that became Cliff Jumper and Bumblebee and Huffer and smaller the smaller vehicles like that. But I'm going to go ahead and transform him back real quick, just because it is such a fairly simple transformation. See there, legs just fold right down, fold the chest right up, arms out, shoulders down, click, arm out, shoulder down, rotate around, click, rotate that over, rotate the head up. I'm going to raise you guys up. Here we go. Rotate the head around and pop the hands out. Now the hands do have, and I will commend Hasbro for this because some figures don't have this, they do have a little peg here on the ends of the fists that's just enough to get a thumbnail around to pop that figure out, or to pop that hand out. I do appreciate that. Mine has a little bit of a wonky, when it sits on the shoulder here, it tilts, it wants to tilt out just a little bit. It's really not a huge thing, and it's not worth complaining about. It's just something that I've noticed, that maybe other people have noticed as well, is that, yeah, the microscope, sorry, a little bit does want to tilt towards the arm, just a little bit. It doesn't, it's on a soft ratchet, so it kind of clicks into place, but there is a little bit of wiggle room there, so that can become an issue to a degree, I guess, but not really enough to write home about. You can kind of see, yeah, it wiggles there a little bit, but it's not too bad. If there was maybe a clip underneath this blue portion here that held it in place, might be a little bit better, but even then, I don't think that's too bad. There is a kind of soft clip in the blue here and here that clicks that down into place so that it does stay and only moves this part, and then you have to unclip it to move that up, because the moving up is really just part of the transformation, and like retracting the microscope lens to Perceptor's back, but that's really not a huge deal. His blaster fits into his fist. It's a 5mm peg, just like most of the recent lines have been. Fits in there really well. Looks great. I don't know if a sniper rifle would look good with this version of the character, this figure. I love IDW grungy sniper Perceptor, but I don't think this is the figure to make that work with. I think if there was a Cyberverse figure or something like that, it would look a little bit better. And there have been some third-party Perceptors, I think maybe Fans Toys or someone like that made, or Fan Project maybe made a Perceptor that's more based on the IDW version of the character, where he's got the eye patch, he's got the armored chest piece, and the sniper rifle. But yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this figure. I enjoy the character. I think it's represented very well with this figure, just like most of the Studio Series have been, or the Studio Series 86. Studio Series line, I understand, has become kind of a catch-all for just any figures that they want to spit out. Same as Buzzworthy Bumblebee started as, you know, versions of Bumblebee and Bumblebee adjacent characters, and now it's really just any remold or repaint they want to throw in there. And Studio Series has been kind of the same, but I really enjoyed seeing it. I do think, you know, if I was more active in Transformers collecting again, I would be jumping on the Studio Series 86 bandwagon and trying to get all of those characters, because seeing like the Dinobots specifically have just looked really fun and really satisfying. I am definitely going to try to get some of the core class Dinobots, specifically core class, what are they calling him? The Ankylosaurus that was like very briefly mentioned in the IDW comics as the medic for the Dinobots, who was killed before they ever actually became the dinosaur Dinobots, when they were the Dinobots with a Y in IDW version 1. I love Ankylosaurus, so that's going to be... I've got to get that. I don't plan on getting the rest, even though they made the Volcanicus combiner again. I'm glad the Studio Series did not make the Dinobots a combiner. I think my biggest complaint with Dinobot figures of the past few years has been that they are leaning too much into trying to make the Dinobots a combiner team when it's really not necessary. I think the Combiner Wars / Power of the Primes Dinobots were fine figures, but the gimmick of combining really messed them up, in my opinion. I did have all of them and enjoyed them for what they were, but they weren't, they weren't as great as they could have been. I may snag some of those Cyberverse Dinobots, but the fact that they never released a fully fledged swoop figure and only released it as a weird flip change combiner with Bumblebee for no reason is a real shame, especially because it was a female version of Swoop that had a Seeker style head sculpt that I think just Swoop, for one, having a female Dinobot is super necessary. I think it's a missed opportunity in the comics and in the shows in the past, but making Swoop look like a Seeker, that's so great. It makes so much sense, in my opinion, and it really, really fits with it. If you guys haven't watched Cyberverse, most of it's on Netflix, all of it's on YouTube. Check it out. It's really fun. There's 4 seasons. The 4th season is just 2 basically movie-length, 45, 50-minute videos just about the Dinobots, and it's incredibly fun. It does have the combiner aspect in it, but it's not the largest focus of it. Yeah, it's really fun. All those characters are great. I wish it got more. It reminds me a lot of Earthrise. I've been enjoying Earthrise also a ton, and there are a handful of characters that I think I might end up getting from Earthrise. I definitely think Twitch is one that I want to snag because I just love the little quadcopter drone look. And I think maybe if they did an Earthrise figure for Wheeljack or maybe Soundwave or the cassettes, and definitely if they do an Earthrise of the Insecticons, because I've got to get... I know they're going to do Studio Series 86 Bombshell soon because they've already done the other 2 Insecticons, and if they do Bombshell, I've got to get it because it's just... I'm a huge Bombshell fan. I only have the G1 right now, but I've got to get more Bombshell figures in my collection because that's one of my favorite G1 characters. Yeah, I may do some more Transformer stuff. I have a few lying around, none that are all that new, but ones that mean a good amount to me and that I really either enjoy the character or enjoy the styling or whatever. And the other recent one that I have is actually my work desk bot, which is I believe it's War for Cybertron. I think it's I think it's the War for Cybertron version of Hoist. And yeah, I enjoy that figure a lot. I enjoy the engineer figure. There's a reason that it's sitting at my office desk. But if there's any other figures like that you guys want to see me review, I may throw up a short video of just my collectibles in my office here at home. And if there's something on the shelves that you guys want to see me talk more about, please let me know. Please check out our stuff over at projectlouder.net. You can look up everything that I've done for Big Bad Beetle Bros or Stronger Than Before, Power Rangers Zeo Watch Along podcast. You can also check out some really great other podcasts that are on there. Lights, Camera, Exploitation has TJ Brody and Nick of the Big Bad Beetle Bros chatting about exploitation cinema and a lot of lesser known films, but also some more well-known stuff. They get to talk with some of the cast and crew on occasion, and they've done some fun stuff with that. Of course, we have ghost hunting, horror movie reviews, convention reviews, a little bit of comic reviews, but not a ton of that just yet. We are trying to dive more into comics on the network. But yeah, check it out, guys. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope that you tune in for more for future stuff. Hope you, go back and watch some of the other reviews. If Transformers aren't your thing, or Power Rangers maybe, or more your thing, something like that, feel free to dive in. Let me know in the comments what else you want to see me jump into. Yeah. With that, I've been Cam, and you can find us at Beetle Bros Pod on Twitter, Big Bad Beetle Bros on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and Stronger Than Before at Stronger Than Before Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We will see you next time. Thank you all so much.